Good evening and welcome to the newly named InBETween Talk, featuring mostly Carter Hunt, but also Garrett Robards. I guess he's there. Welcome to our newly named show. We're happy to have you. I am devastated, as many of you can imagine, for the very obvious and straightforward reason of I lost the bowl standing to Garrett, down 4.
Yeah, that's the real reason why you're devastated right now. That's the only reason.
No. Yeah.
Yeah, shots fired already. Good heavens.
That's just been so much to me that to be losing. I don't know. But there's no other reason I'm sad.
Yeah. You can already hear the insecurity in his voice in the very beginning of this episode. I mean, already using as many different things as a defense mechanism as he can. But, it's all right. We'll keep moving.
We can have like a running count to see how many I get to before the show's over. But let's move on to the Jackson 5. For all 3 of our listeners, the Jackson 5 is our just weekly kickoff as to, hey, these are things that you have to know that are going on in sports. Number 1. The college football championship is set. Alabama versus Georgia. That'll be this Monday night. We had one really interesting semifinal playoff and another one that was where a game was played. Georgia beating Oklahoma and Bama romping Clemson. All SEC championship. First time since 2011. The SEC will be on top again.
Yeah, we've got a lot more to say on that coming later. But big thing in the NBA this week. Yesterday, Isaiah Thomas made his return. He did not play tonight in Boston, but he looked good. 17 points, 19 minutes. You had to see him back on the court.
Saturday, and by Saturday, I mean, Monday, Tuesday, Monday? Monday was a rough day for me in general, but we did have the huge upside of Central Florida beating Auburn to have an undefeated season, and rumors have it they are self-claiming themselves the national champion as they beat Auburn, who beat our 2 finalists for the college football championship, and UCF is the only undefeated team. How about that? Yeah,
I'm sure you'll be down there for the championship parade. I know you've been on that bandwagon. Yeah, of course. Moving on to number 4, I know Oklahoma has had an incredibly difficult week, but things are looking up because there are other sports other than football. The basketball team has the most exciting player in college basketball in Trae Young. If y'all haven't gotten a chance to watch him, he is a Steph Curry that is a much better passer and can literally pull up from anywhere. So you definitely want to check him out.
Yeah, once he's past half court, you really need to be covering him. And then also this weekend, we have the NFL begins its playoffs. And fortunately for the NFL, that means there can't really be any more bad games after what has just been a really fascinating season of lots of just kind of snoozers. The playoffs can only be so bad, isn't that right?
Yeah, I mean, I'm personally invested in that, but I'll probably join you on the despair bandwagon, say Sunday around 8 o'clock or so. So we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah, and we'll be going through and talking about all this in more detail, but let's begin with what was a personal heartbreak Monday evening after getting up to a 31-14 lead. OU fell to Georgia, who came just raging back to win 51-48, double overtime. It felt like an instant classic. Really, just a game that was a ton of fun to watch. The whole game. Give a ton of credit to Georgia. They looked awesome. OU lost. They looked good and lost. It was just one of those games where it was just fun to watch, regardless of if you had a rooting interest. You have to appreciate that. OU's defense, questionable, but both offenses rolled. Made it just a ton of fun.
Yeah, I mean, I have to admit, I really didn't tune into too many bowl games this year. Just not really too many that were all that entertaining. But this one was just one of the most entertaining games I think I've ever watched, bowl season-wise, and how fitting for it to happen in the first semifinal. I was excited about this game coming in. I thought it was a really interesting matchup. Georgia with that, hardcore SEC style of play, running the ball. OU with the exciting offense. Baker looked great originally, early on. OU's offense looked unstoppable. Their running game was great, and I really thought this thing was going to be a blowout. early on, but I think there were maybe just a few little turning points throughout the game, and I think one that was just really minor, but the kickoff right after...
It felt huge.
Yeah, I mean, right after that score, OU decided to go with a squib and just couldn't get it over that first line of players for Georgia. Georgia, next thing you know, has the opportunity to move the ball into field goal range, and they get a great clutch kick to make it 31-17. And, that it's a small 3 points, but it made it a 2-possession game instead of a 3-possession game going into halftime. That's all Georgia needed to propel themselves.
And Oklahoma just had all the momentum in the world after that Mayfield touchdown reception. And Lincoln was rolling on offense with his play calls. Offensive line was doing exactly what they were kind of expected to do, and just Georgia had no answers for them when OU had the ball. And Georgia was rolling too, but kind of everyone expected that, and OU kind of was just like, sure, you can score, we'll just outscore you. And it looked like they were doing exactly what they did, and then second half, completely different game. You have to give a ton of credit for Georgia's defense. They made what felt like all the right adjustments. It felt like Riley was a little bit timid on his play calling, which was really confusing. He felt like he was pulling the ball from Baker's hands more than he should have. But still, Jake Fromm, I was impressed by him. It's not like he had a world beater game, but to be a freshman quarterback, to come into the Rose Bowl, 92,000 fans, huge game, stakes are massive. The guy playing opposite you is a senior Heisman winner, and maybe he didn't go toe-to-toe with him, but he played a very solid game, including some just really solid plays that kept his team in it. I was really impressed by him. Kirby Smart, he's the real deal. George is the real deal. It was really impressive. What's your biggest takeaway from the game?
Yeah, just to comment real quick, I think Fromm is, I don't know if it's my biggest takeaway, but it's definitely a considerable one. That kid was never fazed the entire game, even when things were kind of on edge early on. You never saw any change in facial expression. He was level-headed. He just knew that he just needed to keep coming out there. And I think the great part of Georgia, especially offensively, they made the adjustments defensively, and they had to because they were just getting run over. But they stuck to what they knew on offense. You get down by 17 points early on. A lot of coaches start saying, "Oh man, we've got to start throwing the ball. We've got to start moving, get this thing in chunks." Georgia stuck to that running game, and it was explosive. And I just think that duo of Sonny Michel and Nick Chubb down the stretch, especially, in the Oklahoma game, but coming in against Alabama, that is going to be so interesting to watch against that strong defense. So that was huge. The real heartbreaking thing for OU, I've given Big 12 teams a really hard time for their defenses. OU's defense made what at the time was the biggest play of that game, where OU was losing all momentum, down 45-38, and they get that strip and take it back to the house for a touchdown. For a defense to make that sort of play, where they're not known for making these, not known for stepping up like that, it's really heartbreaking that they couldn't capitalize on that more. But but really just a wild game in general. And when it finally was over, it's kind of like I was incredibly disappointed. I know you were for obvious reasons, but I was hoping this thing would keep going. It was incredible.
Yeah, and going back to that, there felt like two huge turning points in the game, and as dumb as it sounds, the first one was. To me, that squib kick, in reality, the first big turning point, though, was that Baker Mayfield interception, which I think that tied the game after that interception. And then the next turnover, there were only two turnovers in the game, and it was that fumble return for a touchdown. Two big defensive plays that it felt like gave Georgia back the momentum, and then Oklahoma had stolen it. But then Oklahoma couldn't capitalize. They had two opportunities to win the game, and times where you expect them to do it, and times it kind of felt like this is a classic Baker Mayfield. They had 55 seconds to score a touchdown at the end of the game, and an odd play call on 3rd and due for that wheel route to Anderson.
Yeah.
He was open for what it's worth. Mayfield missed him, and he hits that throw a lot. But for how well they were running the ball, you take that 2 yards and then you get the first down and you keep moving, I think. And then in overtime, Georgia had taken a field goal. And Oklahoma's offense relies on space, and that's why they can just do so many things going down the field. And when they're crammed to the 25, that the passing lanes closed a little bit. But their offense became kind of basic, which is something that they can't afford to do. They rely on just being able to throw so many different looks, and they just ran some weird plays that Georgia was able to allow their fast defense. And I'm not trying to take all the credit to Georgia's defense for doing this, but Oklahoma didn't challenge them like that. It felt like they could have, which was just disappointing. And to me, I love Baker Mayfield. It was disappointing not to see him finish, and it's disappointing not to get to see him in the national championship. He's one of the most storied players in college football the past few seasons, and he didn't take the chance. It's on him and it's on Lincoln, I think, and they're shouldering the responsibility. But again, credit to Georgia, Kirby Smart, great coaching, great adjustments, and that is a fast, solid defense. And like you said, they use their playmakers. Sony Michel and Nick Chubb. Jake Fromm didn't have to put the game on his shoulders because he has athletes like that. They were good.
Yeah, and I think you hit it right on the head with that 3rd and 2. That play call was, Anderson was open, but in that situation, you call a read option with your quarterback and just roll with whatever the defense gives you. That should be an easy pickup for that team, and I think that's the issue with Lincoln at the end of that game was, I think in the first half when it was 31-14, especially before the squib, he sat there and looked at it and he's like, all right, we're close, and kind of got, like you mentioned earlier, a little timid with the play call, and was like, let's just see if we can ride this thing out to the end. And what you got to keep doing is you just got to keep doing what you've been doing the entire game. Just stick to that play call, and who cares that you're up by 17 points? Just keep going.
Yep.
And the moment they slowed down, Georgia took advantage of it. But yeah, emotional game. I'm glad to see you've recovered a little bit because I was concerned there for a while that this show may not happen today. So
for how much I love college football and every great win, I felt like I thought about that Tennessee game a couple years ago where double overtime Oklahoma won. It was just incredibly exciting. I thought about beating Ohio State. That for all those highs, I will say I just felt like I just died after that game. It hurts, college football is fun. Sports are fun. We love them, and they give us great feelings. But man, they can crush us. It was a tough loss, but Georgia is through after a great game, and congratulations to them. And they are going to be facing Bama this Monday night, who looked incredible against Clemson. And after that classic game, I think people were stoked for the trilogy, Bama versus Clemson, and really just not a snoozer, but I don't know. Bama just suffocated them. It's not like Bama came out there and put up 1,000,000 points on them. It was 24-6, but Clemson could do nothing on offense, and Bama didn't do a ton on offense. They just didn't have to, and really just sucked the life out of Clemson. And what was a great game for Alabama. They looked like classic Bama, but what are your thoughts on that Bama-Clemson game?
It was a typical Alabama dominant performance in terms of the fact that Alabama, when they dominate a team, they don't win 45-0. They do against the FCS teams, but when they play Mercer, which they do every year. Yeah, when they play Mercer, or they'll say, "Oh, we'll schedule a D1 team," even though it's against Georgia State. Georgia State just became a D1 team. It's whatever, Bama. But this is what a convincing Alabama win looks like: 24-6. But Clemson never had a chance. It was kind of close early on, where it was 10-0. I think maybe it got to 10-3, but a 10-3 game there was 20-0 really. I've kind of had concerns about Kelly Bryant all season long. I know he's young and everything, and he's not Deshaun Watson, but I never have really thought that he's all that great, and I think this game kind of showed that. And also the fact that he didn't have Etienne to lean on either, which has opened him up for so many different opportunities in the offense all season long. When Etienne went down, Kelly Bryant struggled, and I mean, you look at the numbers here too. Bryant makes a lot of stuff happen on his using his legs. 19 carries, 19 yards. That's it, and 2 interceptions. Wasn't great in the pocket. I don't want to put it all on him, but he's what makes the offense go, and the offense didn't go. So there's not really much more you can say than that.
I agree with you. I had a lot of questions about Kelly Bryant throughout the season. He's not Deshaun Watson. We knew that, but I think he's better than Jake Fromm. After all the compliments that I said to Jake about Jake Fromm just a moment ago, I think as an athlete and a quarterback, he's better than Jake Fromm, and I would take Kelly Bryant before Jake Fromm to lead my team. And what I'm going to say about this is, you're shaking your head, and it is a debate, and I'm not saying for sure, but I have a lot of questions about Jeff Scott and Dabo Swinney, who were coaching this team into the game, and yeah, maybe Kelly Bryant isn't Deshaun Watson, but there's a formula for beating Alabama, and it's with speed and then like kind of quick passes, and you have to have a good quarterback play, but they didn't set Kelly Bryant up for success. I don't know. They just, every time Clemson ran out the ball, they felt like they were trying to slow the game down for Kelly Bryant. Give the guy, I think, a chance to make plays and have some better play calling. The whole Clemson scheme just felt like it played right into Bama's hands, and you're not always going to have Deshaun Watson, and you got to be able to play. They have Clemson played a great defensive game, and they have a great defense, but they didn't really give their defense a chance to win the game with all the mistakes that they're making. And then I don't know. I think they could have done better with Kelly Bryant for who Kelly Bryant is.
Yeah, that's fair. I think what leads me to take Fromm over Kelly Bryant is just, like I mentioned earlier, I love Fromm's composure. I just think that's a huge deal for a quarterback.
Yeah.
But I completely agree with you in terms of the physical attributes and the ability to make plays. Yeah, Kelly Bryant's definitely better at that. Just a few interesting points because, like you mentioned, the speed. Etienne going down, it loses that's a huge part of Clemson's offense, but
yes,
they have really good athletes other than Etienne in that backfield.
They've been recruiting top 10 the past few years.
Exactly. Tavian Feaster's a solid running back. He only had 4 carries for 10 yards. They didn't do anything speed-wise with him on the outside. Deion Kane had some big plays, but Ray McLeod has been a huge player for them all year long. I think his stat line's incredibly interesting. 3 catches, 1 yard. You gotta utilize these guys. Hunter Renfrow didn't have a catch until midway through the third quarter, into the fourth quarter, and that's
you knew Bama was going to single him out and shut him down after what he did in the championship last year.
Yeah, I think it was just smothering that defense, but I completely agree. I think I think the play call was iffy, to say the least. But I think we also saw the best of Alabama's defense, and it is terrifying. They made it really easy on Jalen Hurts because they had incredible field position the entire game. So it was that is the formula to Alabama's success was that game against Clemson, and I think it's going to make the Georgia-Bama game just that much better. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be a classic on Monday. It'll be just a real SEC throwdown of 2 very similar styles just going against each other, and we'll just see who's better. They're going to go toe-to-toe. It'll be a great game. I'm not that excited about it. And maybe it's just because I've just been stabbed in the heart this past Monday, and I was envisioning Oklahoma there. But it's just when I think about this national championship, Bama versus Georgia, to me it feels like Nick Saban and Alabama are winning either way because if Georgia wins, it's just Nick Saban light and Alabama light, and if it's Alabama, then it's Alabama. I'm sorry. I had to say that. I'm going to pretend I didn't know. It's going to be a classic this Monday. Should be a great game. 2 awesome, the best teams in college football going against each other, except for maybe Central Florida.
Oh, man. All right, well, fine. Who you got?
I'm going to go Georgia.
All right.
When I look back at their season, they dominated a lot of games, and after that Auburn loss, I kind of forgot about them. I was so underwhelmed by that game. They went to Stidham Stadium. I'm blanking on that. Excuse me.
Jordan Hare.
Jordan Hare. Yeah. I don't know what Stidham Stadium is.
Yeah. Well, that's their quarterback. Yeah.
Yep. There it is. Yeah, it's Stidham Stadium. Jordan Hare, and it just got blown out. I don't know if I can say this, but take that game away and you look at the rest of their season, they've just looked great to me all year. I had a lot of questions about Bama, that Clemson's offense wasn't going to answer for me. I think Georgia's defense, I think they're physical, I think they're fast, and their running game, I think it's going to push Alabama. I think Bama showed up to beat Clemson because of last season. I don't think they're going to show up like they did against Clemson. I'm going to take Georgia to win. Who are you going to take?
So I can't remember if I said it on the show or if I just said it to you. I don't know. I might have mentioned it. But I basically, when the playoff committee was making their decisions, I was like, if Alabama gets in, I just feel like they're going to find some way to win it. And I'm going to ride that out. I think Bama wins in a really ugly game. I think it's like 17-10.
Don't tell me that.
I know it's going to be awful to watch. I mean, it's not going to be fun, but they're going to grind it out and find a way to win, and it's going to be painful. And I feel like we're going to be a little disappointed, but I think Alabama finds some way to do that, which I hate because I want to see Sonny Michel running 50 yards out of the backfield and Nick Chubb running over defenders, but at the same time I want to see Jalen Hurts flinging it to Calvin Ridley. I don't think we're going to get that type of game. But I think it's 17-10 Alabama, and I say we put 3 points on it because it's a national championship game. So
because it's a national championship. Well, I think what they should do for the national championship, because I fear what you're saying could be right, is just maybe like I don't know, FedEx it to just go and send it to Alabama, send them the national championship, and why don't we just watch Oklahoma Georgia again?
Oh man,
on Monday, just to keep that going.
You can always go back and watch that. They've got replays on like YouTube, and you can probably buy it off iTunes. I mean,
Garrett, I've already watched it a time and a half.
Yeah.
Since then,
I was going to say, so when you're going to watch it the second time around, are you going to stop before the kickoff right after Baker scores? Like, are you just going to when it hits 31-14, you just turn it off?
I can't. I'm gonna watch it. Every time I'm gonna think. We're up 31-14. Maybe we'll actually win it this time. Every time.
Yeah.
That's how I do it. Bama, Georgia, 3 points. Why not? Which, again, we had this conversation earlier, but you are up 4 from bowl season on me and really just wiped the floor with me. But I did get the big one. No, neither of the semifinal games. I got Central Florida over Auburn. I felt like we're talking, I don't know, I felt like you're talking a bunch of trash to me about that game, and I love it. Scott Frost going out on the W. Central Florida taking it. They're my national champions, undefeated, beating the SEC West champion Auburn Tigers. It is weird, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad in your moments of heartbreak and despair that you have at least something to hold on to, because otherwise, you really have no reason. You'd have no reason to get out of the bed in the morning. Like, I mean, you'd still be sitting there with a tub full of ice cream, just filling your face full. But no, I can't really defend myself too much on the UCF Auburn game. I was pretty shocked. I got a little excited there for a second when it was 34-20. Auburn scored that touchdown, and then they were driving. And then in the worst throwaway I've ever seen by a quarterback in my entire life, when Stidham's just like, oh, I'm going to see if I can throw this out of the back of the end zone. No, you fling it up in the air, and there's no one there except for about 3 UCF players standing right underneath it when you're driving and you have a significant shot at tying this thing up. I swear, I would not want to be an Auburn or a Miami fan considering the way that those two teams ended their season. Like, they were on fire, basically right up there until the end. And then Auburn really is just the last 2 weeks. Miami the last 3. They lay an egg in championship games, bowl games. I mean, Miami had that loss to Pitt. Just terrible ending to the season for both of them. But yeah, I mean, give UCF some credit. They deserve to win that game.
if you're an Auburn fan, you feel terrible, Miami fan, blah, blah, blah. I'm not that interested in them.
That's fair.
If you're a Central Florida fan, do you feel completely hosed? Only 90% hosed? Like, what is the consolation for a Central Florida fan if you think that you had the best team in the country? What do you say to a Central Florida fan?
Well, how about,
hey, you went 13-0 and you beat Auburn, who beat Alabama and Georgia, who they're playing for national championship, but that's besides the point.
I mean, well, okay, yeah, it's tough. I know it's hard to go to them and be like, hey, you had a heck of a season, good job, but because the way things are set up, you didn't get there. Yeah, I mean that's tough. I don't know really what you can say to them. I mean, honestly though, how many Central Florida fans? Probably a lot, but how many Central Florida fans do you really think deserve to be in the championship game? I mean, I'd say well over half, but like.
So I'll agree with you there. We have this whole kind of pageant process of, the deserving teams and maybe sure you're undefeated, but you didn't have the right you didn't go through the right process. You didn't beat the right teams. You're not in a power conference. You're not getting enough money from ESPN or something like that. Blah, blah, blah. So, no, they weren't deserving, and they didn't belong in the playoff. I'll agree with that, sure, other than they might be the best team in the country, and we'll never really know.
Yeah. I would love for, it would never happen, but for the winner on Monday to be like, all right, we'll schedule just a random consolation game against UCF, because that would be.
I dreamed about that. I dreamed about that as I fell asleep last night.
Of course you did.
Man, what if Central Florida called him out and said, "We want you,
ladies and gentlemen"?
And not only that, not only do we want you, but you should feel obligated to want to play us. Central Florida's already declared themselves national champions, so really, this is just a semifinal this coming Monday to see who has the right to maybe kind of compete with Central Florida.
He dreamed about that last night, guys. I mean, this is a man who is hanging on for dear life to whatever he can grab. This is, you were almost as bad as I was after the Panthers lost the Super Bowl, but it's okay. I didn't really have anything there. I was going to say a few short months later, Marcus Page hit an incredible shot only to have it erased by Chris Jenkins. So, hopefully Oklahoma basketball doesn't have the same thing happen to them. No, I think I love the UCF story. I'm a big fan of underdogs and everything. I could never get on board with it this year just because I was hoping that common sense would prevail, and then Auburn laid the egg. I would love to see that consolation game.
No, that's the narrative. Every time a Group of 5 school beats a Power 5 team in a big bowl game, it's just they didn't show up because they didn't really care.
Okay.
How often can we just continue to say that? Because the thing is it could very well be true. Auburn probably wasn't that excited to play Central Florida.
No.
Auburn didn't have a whole lot to prove. UCF had everything to prove, and so, but it's just weird to me, and it's something that we have to fix.
Yeah.
College football feels like the only sport where you're not in control of your own destiny. Central Florida went 14-0. They won every game they put before them, and they don't get to celebrate that with the championship.
Well, we know how to fix it, but you simply will not listen. You won't accept my plan, but
128 team playoff.
I'm telling you right now, it works.
I'm thinking about it now.
It works. Okay, I haven't figured out how to make the money work. I haven't figured out how to make the conferences work, and I haven't figured out how to make the bowls work. But I'm telling you right now, a 4-week regular season with a 128 team playoff. The seeding is based on those 4 weeks and a committee. It would work. Everyone would be able to have a shot at this thing. Every single week would be must-see football. I'm telling you right now, it would be something, but I get why it doesn't work. There are a lot of logistics that make it incredibly difficult. So I'm just saying it would make sense, but it's hard to figure out.
Speaking of money-making machines, the NFL playoffs are this weekend to avoid that rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
So, Garrett, we could have talked about a lot of other bowl games. We could have talked about Ohio State, beating USC and blah, blah, blah. But no. I feel like we'll get too distracted. We should probably just move on. This weekend, the playoffs start, as aforementioned. And we have the Tennessee Titans taking on the Kansas City Chiefs in I don't know. It just feels like a game that Kansas City was just single-handedly built to blow. In my mind, they're good. They're one of the best teams. It just feels like Andy Reid and Alex Smith were just, like God created them to lose games like this. Am I exaggerating?
No, I'm still trying to get over your incredible segue to get out of my 128-team playoff, but that's fair. No, I completely agree. I definitely think it's one that they're built to lose. I don't think the Titans are good enough to fulfill that. So personally, like I'll jump ahead and just say that I am choosing the Chiefs in this game. This game just does not excite me at all. I
realized that. I was like, this is it. This is the playoff.
This is the ugliest. Just wait. We haven't even gotten to the second.
No.
We haven't even.
It might not be.
Yeah, we haven't even gotten to the second AFC game.
And then we looked farther down the line.
Yeah,
we'll
no.
get to that.
I mean, I am very excited about the NFC as I have been all year long. But I just looked at the second AFC game, and I swear you could not pay me enough money to watch those two games this weekend. I mean, good heavens! I wonder if there are gonna be more people watching it on TV than are actually gonna be in the stands. Like none of these games are all that great. I think the Chiefs have the better team here.
Oh, neither of these games referring to the AFC. We do have some great matchups in the NFC.
Oh yeah. No. The NFC I'm all about, but the AFC I can't even be bothered with. No, I think the Chiefs have the better team. Titans, I can't get sold on Mariota. I can't really get sold on their offense. In general, which is funny because that's the better part of their team. It's their defense that has struggled so much. But yeah, I think the Chiefs win this one. I think it'll kind of be a little bit of a blowout. I don't know. I mean, like 28-14, 28-17. Like Titans maybe get some garbage time points, but I don't think it'll be that great of a game. What about you?
Logic points to you being right here. Which is why, even though it's the playoffs, I'd like to only put 1 point on this game. But okay. I feel like I'm picking a team to lose. I just want to pick Kansas City to lose. And so I'm going to take the Titans. I'm going to take Mariota to lead what I think is a solid team that just hasn't come together all season to, for some reason, unbeknownst to me, come together and beat Kansas City, who I just think will be in a little bit more desperation mode to lose this game. So we'll see. Again, not a great matchup. So let's just move on. Falcons Rams. What a change. Two wonderful teams. We have last year's Super Bowl champions. Oh wait, no, they blew that lead. Okay, we have last year's NFC champions taking on the Rams. One of the highest powered offenses in the NFL. Jared Goff versus Matt Ryan. It's gonna be a great game. I think the over-under is going to be just ridiculously high. I'm expecting a lot of points here. Who are you taking to win this one?
I just watched the Falcons make my Panthers look silly, so I'm going to go with the Falcons. I'm choosing against my Rams for the first time all season long. It's really breaking my heart. I think the bad voodoo for the Falcons has finally been resolved thanks to Georgia, letting Oklahoma blow the lead this time. I know the hits keep coming. But yeah, I think the Falcons have the more experienced team. I like Matt Ryan a little bit more here than Jared Goff. And the Falcons' defense for the first time ever is actually really solid. It's the first time since 1998 that they finished the top 10 in scoring and yardage in defense. So that is an element they have never had before. So I think the Falcons win this one. But I think this will be a great game. I'm really excited for it.
I'm looking at my pick here, and I've written down the Falcons. But I'm going to switch to the Rams. I've just thought about the Rams all season. The number of ways that they can move the ball. They have a solid set of receivers, and then Todd Gurley is just a machine. And I don't think the Falcons have kind of lost their or have regained their juju. Quite frankly, it was only the Panthers that they beat this past weekend. So you can't give them too much credit. And I agree with you. Their defense is kind of what is carrying them right now. Something's off between Matt Ryan and Julio Jones.
Yeah.
And I'm going to take them. I'm going to take Rams to win 31-20.
Interesting.
I'm feeling good about the Rams. Maybe it's late. I'm tired. But I'm going to take the Rams, and I'm feeling just better and better about it the more I look at it.
That's fair. Two quick points on that game. One, Matt Ryan, Julio Jones connection. Interesting stat there. Julio Jones only has 3 total touchdowns this year, and I'm pretty sure he had 2 in one game. I might be wrong on that. So you're right. The two of them have been off all season long. But from the Rams side of things, I did not realize this. The Rams are only 4-4 at home, 7-1 on the road. So really interesting to see a team like that, especially a young team that succeeds a lot more on the road than they do at home. This will be a home game for them, so it'll be interesting to see if that trend continues a little bit or if they actually pull it together. But it's nice to have playoff football back in Los Angeles.
I will say this. They don't have a great record at home. For Jared Goff, though, I think he needs this home playoff game. It certainly would be much better than being on the road for his first kind of playoff feel. I get what you're saying, but I love the Rams offense as you cap off that cheer wine. And so you must be in some sort of mood to talk Carolina football.
Oh, boy.
I'll let you go here for a hot second before I take the Saints and Drew Brees to crush them.
Yeah, this is tough because the level of confidence I have in this game could not be smaller. I'm picking the Panthers just because I have to. They're my boys. I don't think I've watched Cam play a more ugly game than this past weekend against the Falcons. Especially, I mean, that was just awful. I was fully expecting us to come in there and knock them out of the playoffs and be dancing a little bit. But I mean, he started 0 of 9 passing. It was just atrocious. And then you look around and you realize that he's got no wide receivers except for Brenton Burson. I mean, Funchess is going to be double, triple covered pretty much throughout the entire playoffs. Greg Olsen still can't figure it out. He's still kind of getting back into the rhythm after his injury. You've got a team basically where Cam, your quarterback, is your leading rusher. Your leading receiver is a running back. Your defense is solid in the front 7, but the secondary is still iffy. And you're playing a team like the Saints that has the best running back duo in football, and a first ballot Hall of Famer who still has tons of weapons around him, and a team that actually figured out defensively for the first time ever. I don't like it. I think it's going to be rough. I think it's going to be a long game, and I think I'll be feeling the same way you feel right now about Oklahoma come Sunday night. So we'll see. But that's my take. I'm still picking the Panthers, but yeah.
Yeah, no, you have to, and I get that. But for the person who isn't locked down to a team, I think I have the winner here and going with the Saints. Their offensive power, it feels almost untapped somehow this season. I think it's only been good. Hasn't quite been that very good yet because they haven't needed Drew Brees to be otherworldly, which he can be. And that's what's so scary to me about the Saints is that they've relied so much on their running game and, dare I say, a solid defense, which just feels counterintuitive when you talk about kind of Saints football. It feels like they just rely on a run and gun, Big 12 style team in the sense that they'll just trying to put up more points than you. But they have a solid defense. They have an incredible running attack. And you just can't feel good about playing in New Orleans.
No.
And you really just shouldn't feel good down the line, any team having to face this Saints team. I think they're good. I think they're going to give Minnesota a ton of trouble after this weekend. I would not be excited to play them. I think they're good. And Drew Brees has just been a little too relaxed all year, and he hasn't been asked to do it, and I can only imagine what he has in store.
And go ahead.
Go ahead. No, sorry.
Well, I was just gonna say too, with I mean, another thing just going completely against the Panthers. So, the way the playoff seeding and everything was set up this past weekend, the Panthers should be playing at home against the Saints right now. If the whole thing was if the Saints lost to the Bucs, which was not supposed to happen. The Panthers beat the Falcons. The Panthers would be playing at home, and we wouldn't have to worry about going on the road against New Orleans. They didn't. They never wanted to win that game against Atlanta. honestly, the Panthers don't deserve to win this game against the Saints. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. They shouldn't be playing this game in New Orleans right now. The Panthers kind of did it to themselves. So, I think it's going to be ugly in general. But
I think the thing we just remember on Sunday is, why the heck did Carolina trade Kelvin Benjamin away? He was having no. Don't give me the finger, because he was having a mediocre season, and sure, Carolina got a little warm after he left, but he's a great target. He's one of the best in the NFL. Don't give me stats. Give me the eye test here.
No.
You want Kelvin Benjamin because Funchess is going to have every defender covering him, and if you have Kelvin Benjamin on the field, you're so much better off.
Okay. Right now, yes, it would be nice to have Kelvin Benjamin, but it would be nice to have Kelvin Benjamin because Curtis Samuel and Damiere Byrd are out for the season.
No. It would be nice to have Kelvin Benjamin because he's a freak.
No. He's definitely a freak, but he's a fat wide receiver who's a huge target that runs like a 4.8 40. The issue is what the Panthers need to open up their run game, which is their bread and butter, is they need speed on the outside. And Kelvin Benjamin he allowed the defense to collapse the box because they knew that it was going to take him 10 years to get off the line. The issue that the Panthers have is they stress themselves. I agree that the Benjamin trade was something that the Panthers shouldn't have done in the middle of this season. They should have addressed that issue at the end of the season because it created a situation where they weren't able to get what they need. They had to use what they had, and what they had was young, inexperienced, and now hurt. If Curtis Samuel and Damiere Byrd were healthy, the Panthers have what brought them to the Super Bowl: speed on the outside. Ted Ginn and Philly Brown are not good wide receivers, but they work in Carolina's offense because they are the fastest guys on the field, and Cam can simply throw the ball up in the air and let them chase it. He has none of that now because the two guys that could do that are hurt. And you look at the best games that Cam has had this year. Against Miami, he had Curtis Samuel on the outside, and Samuel had a huge game. Cam had a huge game, running the ball, throwing the ball. And against Green Bay, Damiere Byrd was back. Damiere Byrd had 2 catches for a touchdown. He made things happen with the kick return. Cam had a huge game. That's the thing. Now he's got no speed on the outside, a lot of inexperience, and it's hurting him now. I agree, the Benjamin trade, not a great idea, but in terms of fit for Carolina's offense, he's just not the fit. But I get what you're saying. And especially the eye test wise, yeah, you'd love to have a 6'5" guy who can go up and get anything right now, for sure. But I don't know if he makes that much of a difference.
For those of you who are listening to our podcast, is by the time you're listening to the final product, we've actually edited that rant down from 55 minutes just to that short little bit. He really just never stopped going. It was remarkable. If you're kind of just waking up, welcome back. Bills-Jags also this weekend. A really solid defense versus, is it Nathan Peterman playing for the for the Bills?
I think Tyrod has the role, but I mean they'll probably go to oh gosh, I mean who's their third string guy? Is J.P. Lossman still back there? I don't know. I mean they'll find someone.
Yeah. He'll probably get the start.
Yeah.
But this is another kind of snoozer for the AFC. If you have any Blake Bortles jokes, get them while they're hot. But I'm going to take the Jaguars to win this weekend. This will be just a run fest between LaShawn McCoy and Leonard Fournette. And, LaShawn McCoy is an animal. And I think right now he's better than Leonard Fournette. But the Jaguars just have the better defense here. And I like the Bills' offense, but there's something weird going on down in Jacksonville that I want nothing to do with, nor do I think any team should want anything to do with it. I think Jacksonville could go on a tear just because it's weird. There's Blake Bortles, he's just so mediocre, it's incredible. So I'm going to go Jacksonville. Who are you taking this one?
I'm going to take the Jags. You give me a hard time for my rant, but really what I was doing was protecting our listeners from the next AFC game that we have to discuss.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That's very kind of you.
I was just looking out for everyone else. I don't really know what all I want to say about this game other than the fact.
Yeah, there's just not much to say here.
No, there's really not.
The more you look at the matchup, the more you look forward to next weekend when there'll be other games going on.
Right. I'm going to be honest. Like, I still am trying to figure out how the Bills made the playoffs. Like, I'm looking around. Like, in the NFC, everyone is scraping through. I mean, you've got teams that, like, definitely deserve to be in, like Seattle, that just aren't in. And then, like, the Bills just kind of, like, fell on their face and happened to make it. I don't really get it. Like, I am kind of shocked the Bills did everything they could.
Though, we don't want a rematch of the Ravens against Jacksonville. Do you remember that shellacking?
Yeah, no, I mean, I get it. But, like, the Bills?
It feels weird.
It feels so strange. Like, the Bills did not want to make the playoffs this year. When they did the Nathan Peterman experiment, I mean, hello, like, I mean, that is saying, nope, we don't care. I don't understand it. I don't get it. I think this game is going to be kind of ugly. I think we're going to see a lot of turnovers. I'm thinking 2 interceptions aside, maybe a fumble. I think the Jags kind of swallow the Bills' offense in general. I'm going to go Jags in this one, and I think it's going to be like 24-13. I don't think it's going to be that great of a game. But, hey, you know what? Jags fans, congratulations. You're back in the playoffs. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, they're kind of the Buffalo, the anti-Cleveland, almost like despite Buffalo's best efforts, they still made the playoffs. And, you know, they tried their best, but they just couldn't not win a few games.
Right.
When you have Cleveland, who's just trying their absolute best, and they just, you know, can't win a game. I mean, so, again, the anti-Cleveland. Buffalo might just win the Super Bowl. They do have Kelvin Benjamin.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
That was who that trade was made with. So we will have an NBA special here shortly. We were planning on diving in a little bit this week, but we are overtime. I know you're tired of our voices. I'm certainly tired of listening to Garrett rant.
More power to you.
Kidding. Yeah. My heart's just still broken from Monday. And that's the main reason we're ending the show, so I can go cry a little bit more.
Yeah, don't you have like don't you need to get your like daily cry session here in a little bit where you just like lock yourself in a dark room and sob?
It's been too long since tears have flowed. I can feel them coming on. So until next time, have a wonderful week. We'll be talking national championship next week. I guess go Bulldogs. You know.
Oh boy.
It'll be fun. Well, everyone, have an excellent evening, midnight. No. Cheers. Happy New Year. There we go.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Good night.